Oh, oh,
Welcome to another episode of Bitcoining. I am your host, Fong, and with me on this journey is of course, the dynamic duo in real estate investment, Bitcoin and crypto, Shin and Chan. On this show, our aim is to reveal Bitcoin strategies, opportunities to leverage Bitcoin, and what is going on with Bitcoin that not only impacts your financial future, but a lifestyle to be part of. Welcome back, Shin and Chan. How are you guys doing?
hey Fong, doing great. How are you?
Good, good. So what's new and exciting and what's going on with crypto and Bitcoin right now?
Go ahead, Jen. You
Oh,
describe it.
okay.
Tell us what you're
Cool.
doing.
So as you guys know, we're in the Calgary area, and I know we were talking about hockey earlier, but we're not going to talk about hockey in Edmonton. But lots of stuff's happening in Calgary because we got the Calgary Stampede that's going to come up in July. And for the Bitcoiners, and even the non-Bitcoiners, there's the Bitcoin Rodeo. So that's pretty exciting. There's going to be lots of speakers, and I'm going to be there. So grab your tickets and hope to see you there.
Tell us
Awesome.
what the Bitcoin rodeo is. It sounds like it's going to be like cows fighting over Bitcoin or people riding horses with
Is it
Bitcoin.
virtual cows running around and virtual bulls running around?
What is the Bitcoin rodeo, Jen?
Well, you can go to the bitcoinrodeo.com website. It looks like JP Spears. He's a comedian. He's going to be there on set with BTC Sessions roast. Um, it's family friendly. I think it's going to be my first year of going to this. It happens every year in Calgary. And it's just talking about, the fiat culture, Bitcoin culture. There's got some amazing speakers lined up, like Preston, and Francis and Nico and founders of the Investors Podcast and Francis, who's founder of Bold Bitcoin, the host of Simply Bitcoin, Nico Moran, tons of um, like JP Steers. He's a comedian, like he's amazing. So lots of speakers, and it's just going to be a fun conference, networking. Um, so yeah, everything Bitcoin and non-Bitcoin. But today, I think we should dive into Bitcoin and real estate as well. So that's pretty
Awesome.
exciting.
Awesome, awesome. And for everybody out there who wants to get more involved with Bitcoin and crypto, there's no better way to do that than to jump into an environment where everybody is thinking about it. Everybody's talking about it, everybody's involved in it and are knowledgeable in it. And when you immerse yourself into an environment surrounded with these types of people, there's no way that you can avoid it. It's always going to be on your mind. I remember my very first business conference. I remember my very first real estate conference. When you're surrounded by people who's involved in those areas, all of a sudden you're so excited about getting involved. You're so excited about learning more. And I'm sure everybody who is excited about crypto, thinking about crypto, if you put yourself in this environment, you're literally going to be able to absorb that type of energy from everybody else around there. And I'm sure you're going to learn something out of it and you're gonna be more involved and more knowledgeable and at least know a little bit more about what's going on with crypto. And that's very, very important because like we said before in previous episodes, just getting to know a little bit of what's going on keeps you in the game so that you're not uh, completely oblivious with what's going on in the world right now. But what is going on with crypto and Bitcoin from a market standpoint and the ups and downs and all that kind of stuff, Sheen?
I think our last podcast is interesting because it was at a short high for the time. I think it was just over 70K. And within a few hours after the podcast, it had dropped back down to like 67K. It was kind of funny. So we were talking about it at a high. Right now, it's probably sitting around 64,000 US. So it's a little bit lower than it had been a few weeks ago, but still within the normal range of Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things and moving up and down sideways for a little while. I think it's scared a lot of people in the market. There's a lot of fear and doubt right now that it's going to crash. People, I've heard people going, it's going down to $5,000 US. And realistically, if it does, it's a great buying opportunity. It's on sale. It's like going to the discount store and seeing 95% off and take advantage of those deals if you see it. I don't particularly think it's going that low, in my opinion. It's still kind of, we're in the wait and see. It could start going up any day now. The S&P's gone up quite a bit in the last few weeks. So market-wise, no need to panic. There's people on both sides. And usually from experience, when people are in this fear and doubt stage, that's usually the best time to buy. When people are in the greedy, it's going to go up to $1 million this year, that's usually the time to sell. So we're in the fear time, possibly a good time to buy.
I find that mindset so amazing because most people, when they're talking about, oh no, doom and gloom, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go down to 5,000, get out, get out, get out. Have the smile on your face, you know, it's a buying opportunity. It's like a discount bulk bin kind of thing. Go get more kind of thing. And I know the two of you are heavily invested in Bitcoin, yet there's no fear in you at all. So that's a great mindset, and I highly, highly am motivated with that type of mindset because it keeps you going, it keeps you active, it keeps you progressing forward. So that's absolutely amazing. So your mindset is positive with regards to what's going to go on. What are some of the signs as to why you still are so positive and so motivated in continuing this path, even if there's some fear going out there?
I think we have sort of a long-term view on Bitcoin. It's not that we're trying to make money in the next few months to sell out and do something different. We look at Bitcoin as what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. We're like, is the government going to keep printing money? Yes. Is there going to be more reasons why you want to sell out of fiat currency to get into some hard asset? Yes. When the government prints money, all the other assets balloon. It's kind of crazy times. People are looking at, well, like gold and silver have gone up this year. The stock market has gone up this year. Bitcoin's gone up this year. Real estate's gone up this year. Like, what hasn't gone up? So why is everything going up? And it's usually some of those things counteract. Like when people are afraid of the stock market going down, that's when gold goes up. There's usually like an inverse correlation there. So in this everything's ballooning asset world, what do you want to invest in? It's kind of the same reason as like people who are fear and doubting right now, if they sell their Bitcoin, let's say, because I think it's going to go down, what do they do with the money? Where do they put it? Well, they're not in Bitcoin. Like what other asset would you prefer to buy? And so that's kind of leading into maybe would you buy real estate with your Bitcoin? Is this the time to buy real estate in certain areas? And certain parts of the country have seen a drop in real estate prices, and certain places like here in Alberta, we've seen an increase in real estate prices. So, there's different reasons for that, but would people consider selling Bitcoin at a time when they think it's high than buying real estate?
That's very, very cool. Because like the thing is, when people are thinking about keeping Bitcoin for a long period of time, that question does come up. What do I do with it? Right? Some cities and some establishments still don't have the systems involved or in place for them to actually use Bitcoin to buy day-to-day things. So what can they do with it? And you mentioned real estate would be one of those avenues that people can go to now with regards to transferring their Bitcoin assets into actual touch and feelable assets. So walk us through that path. How exactly can somebody do that? And what are the steps that they need to take?
You want to do that one, Chad?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys. Like Shin mentioned, with Bitcoin, it's a long-term play, and we believe that so much. For someone who wants to, you know, um, look at using their Bitcoins to get into real estate. So the benefits with Bitcoin is that, yes, it's a long-term store of value. It's like a savings. You keep it in there, and you don't really want to spend it. And I know it's hard for some of the Bitcoiners to think, okay, why do we want to spend it? And so the disadvantage sometimes is like, with real estate, sorry, let me say that again. The disadvantage for Bitcoin is that it doesn't give you cash flow like real estate. So I would say, hey, you know what? If you are sitting on some Bitcoins and you want to be smart about it, you want to get some cash flow from it, this is another mechanism to get into real estate by using your Bitcoins to buy real estate. And I'm with the Greater Property Group in Calgary. And with this brokerage, as a real estate agent, I can help with that transaction. My brokerage could facilitate that transaction. Someone that has Bitcoins, they want to buy and purchase a real estate property in Canada, you can use your Bitcoins to purchase that property. As a seller, you can also accept Bitcoin in that purchase as well. So for realtors out there, it's just a great conversation to have with your clients to say, hey, you know what? Do you know about Bitcoin? Do you even have Bitcoin? And if they don't, that's okay too. The seller or the buyer, they don't even need to even know or accept Bitcoin. But if they do have Bitcoins they want to buy and sell in real estate, that's where we can help.
Very, very cool. Now, would you mind if we do a quick little role play here, just so that we kind of can find out, okay, what are the steps? What do we need to do? What do we need to know? So let's say, for instance, Shin has a, I don't know, $500,000 home, $600,000 home. He's looking to sell, and I'm gonna forecast this out there. I have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin in my wallet, and I'm looking to buy that property. How would I go about that? So Chen, you're my realtor. I'm looking to buy Shin's house right now. I don't have enough liquid assets with me right now, but I do have a lot of Bitcoin I'm sitting on. What's my next step?
Oh, wow. Now you're putting me on the spot. So thank you for being my client, by the way. And yeah, I'd love to help you purchase your home with Bitcoins. And if you think about buying it with any other things, like, you have a collectible, you have art, you have different currencies. Say you're coming into the country with different currencies. You need to have a brokerage that understands that, and that brokerage deals with a trust account. And in this case, with Bitcoin, we do have a an exchange in locally. In this case, it's NDAX, and they're a local exchange, and they will hold the Bitcoins in trust, and they will convert it to what the seller wants at the end of the close of the deal. So it could be Canadian dollars that they want, or it could be in Bitcoin. So that's held there. So that's really the process, is just, being open to, using their Bitcoins to purchase property. The buyer and seller agree on a price that they want to acquire that property for and sell that property for. And then there's, the in the middle between, which is, the lawyers, the trust account, the exchange that holds the funds and converts the funds into the end where the sellers would want to accept, whether it's Bitcoin or Canadian dollars.
So
So yeah,
is this basically just another step of converting your currency? And is it in conjunction with the actual transaction of the purchase?
it really is just another added step, but it's a seamless step that our brokerage has experience with and that has done before. And so I'm excited for, this process. And in fact, like, to be honest, I had not um, had experience with, like, with the property where we did purchase with Bitcoins. And I'm kind of thinking in my mind, like, hey, once we accumulated so many Bitcoins, maybe we should buy property with the Bitcoins that we have, because then we can convert that into some cash flow and then make that cash flow dollar cost average into more Bitcoins. At the end of the day, we do want to denominate everything in Bitcoin and accumulate more Bitcoins,
Hmm,
because that is the rarest asset that's out there.
cool. Now, is this a step that needs to be taken months prior to somebody wanting to buy a house? So, for instance, I know that lots of banks would like to see the initial deposit or some kind of deposit down payment 3 months prior, so that they know that you have the funds. So in this case, would I need to go to you? Hey, I'm planning on buying this house. They're down the road. Do we need to do that conversion now so that we could get that cash into the account? Or is it something that is like at the same time?
Yeah, that's a conversation. It just depends on the client. That's the conversation I would have with the client. And because they could have, like, part in Canadian dollars, part in Bitcoin, or a little bit of both. So that's just something that we would have a conversation with. And at the end of the day, our brokerage will help facilitate that.
But yeah, Fong's right. It's the same thing. Like, there's a lot of rules like FinTrack and money laundering, and people are worried about that. So you need to see that you've had the money for a certain period of time. If Bitcoin just shows up out of nowhere, and in your case, you're trying to say you need a mortgage in that example, right? Like, you were buying with your down payment in Bitcoin, then you need to get a mortgage from the bank. The bank's going to want to know that there's no money laundering going on. It's not like, this money's coming from overseas. They want to see that it's in your account for a period of time before they'll say, okay, well, this is your money.
Hmm. And then if the seller wants to, let's say, receive portions of it in Bitcoin and portions of it in cash, that would also be a transaction that's done after the sale's done or after the closing is done.
Yeah, so banks still deal with fiat currency only, so they're not accepting Bitcoin. So the NDAX, the exchange, will do the conversion. So the bank gets the fiat currency that they need, and the seller and buyer can have whatever they need afterwards, the Bitcoin or Canadian dollars.
So let's say we take the banks out of it, and it's just Bitcoin directly into real estate. How simple is that process, and can that be done?
Yep, same thing. So the reason you work with the exchange is the exchange verifies the person. So again, there's rules in Canada, right, that foreign people cannot buy real estate. So they're going to want to have the same sort of guarantees that the person buying it is a Canadian citizen. It's coming from a Canadian account, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where the exchange kind of comes in to cover all those bases, and they ensure that that part is on board or up to par before the transaction occurs.
And then, so with the exchange, there will be also fees accounted for in that transaction as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anytime you're transferring money to one type and another type, there's fees involved, but they're pretty good about keeping it relatively low. So it's not a huge part of the deal, but it is something to consider for sure.
Now, I know Chen mentioned that some people were sitting on Bitcoin for a while. Bitcoin does not have the cash flow element, so therefore, if they want to have some cash flow, diversify their portfolios into real estate, that this is one element that they can consider to create cash flow from Bitcoins. Now, from a standpoint of the seller, if they were to sell their property, most people who sell their properties would like thinking of liquidating. That's why they're selling. What are some of the advantages or benefits of a seller who goes, you know what, maybe I'll take some in Bitcoin? Like, what's that mindset for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had that conversation recently, and it was just another option. Like in a market where their property is not selling, that may be another marketing option, another, you know, advertising for their campaign or their property to accept some Bitcoins. You know, it's no different than saying, hey, the seller's getting a little bit motivated now. The market's kind of turned a little bit different, and the sellers are willing to finance the part of the purchase for the buyer. So this is just another avenue, another option for the sellers to say, you know what, like they may not have all the Canadian dollars to purchase this property, so I will accept some Bitcoin, if that makes any sense. So it's just another option.
Cool. But you're talking about like if the seller they're getting out of real estate now. I think the prices are peaked to really high, and they're saying, well, what other asset class do I want to own right now? Right, that's kind of a different question than maybe what Chad was talking about. But Bitcoin is something that people would possibly look at as another long-term hold. Say they don't need the cash flow from the properties anymore, or they're selling like their primary residence or their second home that their kids are living in while going to university or something like that. There isn't now the capital gains tax, right? So they're going to be paying that, and maybe their goal is to own an asset that they can easily move anywhere in the world at some point if they wanted to change locations. I think that's another big topic of why people are getting into Bitcoin is it's global, and as we're moving to a more global economy, and more people are kind of upset about maybe the way that some countries are being managed or run. They're looking for other options that gives them that flexibility to do something else in a different country, and Bitcoin will be probably the easiest way to do that. Moving money between Canada and Korea or Canada and Mexico can be a big pain in the butt going through traditional banks. But with Bitcoin, for $5, $10, $20, whatever the transaction fee is, all your money is already in another account somewhere else in a different country. So it's changing the way of global finance. And living in Western countries, we've kind of been accustomed to like, oh, banking is so easy for us. Moving money within our country is so easy. Between Canada and the US, it's fairly easy. But around the world, it's not that easy for a lot of other places. So what this is going to do is open up opportunities for investment in other countries as well, slightly differently. There's still the whole FinTrack and money laundering and everything else to work out, but sort of changing the global landscape of what people think they can do with their money.
Now, in this scenario, we're talking about Bitcoins only kind of thing, but with real estate, you can still use other cryptocurrencies to do so, correct?
Yeah,
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
there's a limit. It doesn't accept, like the index exchange won't accept every single type of cryptocurrency, but the ones that you can convert into USD or Canadian dollars, I guess, on their exchange can be mostly used. But it's the same thing. Like if you have that crypto sitting in the bank account for a period of time, not in Canadian dollars, then depends on what it is, whether or not it'll be used. But Bitcoin and Ethereum, yes. Some of the other ones, maybe.
Awesome. Now, last episode we talked about how people could get started. And one of the elements that people need to get started is potentially getting that wallet. Now, I know there's a lot of different types of wallets out there. There's a lot of different systems out there. Can you explain to us more of the different types and what type people need to do what kind of thing?
Yeah, not one single answer for everybody. So Chen actually had this mini debate about what the best type of wallet is, and kind of what it came down to is like
we have so many debates.
Yeah, because there's not a 100% right answer for everybody, right? You gotta look at there's some people that are starting out to say, well, I'm going to put $20 into this and try it out, and maybe I'll put $20 once a month. That's different than someone be like, I want to buy a whole Bitcoin. I'm going to spend $64,000 US and go buy a Bitcoin. What should I do? Right? Those are two different places, and what do I do? Or there's a third option is like, I want to buy Bitcoin, but hey, maybe I want to dabble in all these other altcoins and I want to be able to exchange my Bitcoin for those. What should I do with that? So in all those cases, you kind of need a different purpose. At the end of the day, you want your money to be safe and you don't want to lose it. And with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, in this world, you have to realize that you are responsible to a certain extent for your own money. No one else, other people will obviously hold your cryptocurrency, but you have to then give up some, you have to trust them and give up some control over what you're doing. So depending on your trust level and what you want to do with it and the amount of money, those all play into the decision of which wallet to get. So that's what makes it a little bit tricky to do. So I'll give you some recommendations that I would do for maybe the average person.
So you explained there was three types. So the very first type is the one that goes, okay, let's do a monthly 20, 30, 40, $100 a month. Yeah. So what type of wallet would those people go with?
Typically people doing that will realize they'll feel like the gains are too small. And then with that amount of money, it's probably easy to risk it to do something different. So when you risk the Bitcoin or risk your cryptocurrency, 95% of the people will probably lose everything. Just to know that. That's a little disclaimer. But it's fun. So they download Bitcoin. They're like, oh, I like cryptocurrency. They learn a little about it. Now they're like, now I want to buy this altcoin or that altcoin. It's something that someone heard on Reddit or this person told me to buy this. So in that case, they need to be on an exchange. And one of the wallets that's out there that's pretty good and it's already on exchange unless you do stuff is the crypto.com wallet. So you can download it on your desktop. You can download it on your phone. You can use it. So that would be one that's, pretty safe and straightforward to use, and you're kind of like built into an exchange already. Or you can just go and buy your money on Coinbase, which isn't really a wallet. You're on an exchange, and then that gives you kind of the same ability to trade and do things with it. One of the reasons for that is if you're going to be buying it with fiat, you can buy it usually from those sites, and it keeps the transactions low rather than buying it and then having to transfer it into a cold wallet, which then costs you money. Right. So if you're buying $20 worth and it's costing you, say, even $5 to transfer it, doesn't really make sense anymore. You're kind of losing money every time, not technically, but you're losing quite a bit of money to the transaction every time you're buying it. So in those kind of cases where you're dealing with smaller amounts, I'd say keep it on an exchange until it gets to the point where it's large enough that you want to keep it into cold storage. So that then you move it for the transfer cost into some place that's a little bit safer once you've reached the amount that you're like, hey, I don't want to lose this. I want to just keep it and store it and control it myself.
And then with the cold wallets, what would you recommend on those?
Go ahead, Chad.
Well, in the past, we've used Trezor, Ledger, but I prefer telling my friends to look into CoinKite's hardware wallets, like Cold Card. So Those are air gapped. You don't need the internet plugging into a wall. And on YouTube, there's BTC sessions where Natalie Brunel, she does like, a how-to with BTC sessions, Ben. So I think that's pretty cool. I think for, you know, someone new getting into it and they need a hardware wallet, I think that's probably one of the best. But there's a lot out there. So you just have to do your own research. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. And, you know, so yeah, there's a lot out there. It just depends on what you prefer. But that's the one I would recommend.
So would that be like the most versatile one that people can consider?
What do you mean by versatile?
Like
I
so
mean, I think
for
that's
instance, she mentioned, okay, these are the three types of investors that are out there who look into Bitcoin and crypto, and the one that you recommended, would that be the one that allows the people to do like the all three types? If one person wants to start at this type, they can move into this type and not change the wallet stuff.
honestly with the cold cards, like the hardware wallets, you could put as many amounts of Bitcoin in as possible, but it's got to make financial sense. Like she mentioned, if it's gonna, you're buying $20 worth of your fiat dollars of Bitcoin and it costs five, dollars, does it make sense to move it into that? So you might want to keep it in a software wallet or an exchange until you accumulate enough that you're not willing to hate lose. Kind of like maybe the analogy of having a savings account in your bank and having a checkings account, um, that kind of thing. So if you're doing the day-to-day purchases, maybe use your checkings account, which is the software wallet on your desktop or your phone. And then, the big amounts like that you want to keep saving, you're not going to withdraw and you just want to keep, accumulating, that would be your hardware wallets.
And then what kind of fees are required to maintain a wallet?
Maybe Shin can talk about that. So like with the software wallets, like there's the Lightning network that you can use where the fees are lower and there's, you're purchasing like, coffee or some merchandise and you want to speed the transaction. It's the Lightning network, there's wallets for that.
Yeah, if you're going to be using your Bitcoin, if you're spending your Bitcoin and you want to use it that way for day-to-day transactions, Lightning Network is definitely better for small transactions. Once you start doing transactions over, say, $500 or $1,000, it's probably cheaper to use the Bitcoin mainnet. So that's maybe kind of the world. What was your other question about, like, when should people sort of do it?
Well, I was
good point.
wondering, like, for instance, the wallets, what is there fees, monthly fees or something like that to maintain those wallets or to buy those wallets?
Yeah, once you own the wallet in the Bitcoin world, your crypto can sit there for the next 100 years and you don't pay any extra fees. There's no fees for owning and holding it yourself. The catch is every hardware wallet, has a lifespan. It may not work forever. Now, there's a case. So one of the software wallets that we had used in the past was actually called Samurai Wallet. And an interesting story. So it was about a month ago where the owners of the Samurai Wallet got arrested or charged with money laundering. The wallet allowed you to put Bitcoin in and sort of mask the address where your Bitcoin was and where it came from. So in a way, it was like no one could really trace your Bitcoin anymore. And one of the big things about blockchain that the governments like and want to do is they can see the history of where all your money has gone to and when you acquired it, when you spent it, all that kind of stuff. So this wallet allowed you to kind of hide that fact, which would allow people to get away with money laundering easier because then you couldn't trace the money anymore. So they got charged with that, and the wallet actually got shut down. So you couldn't access their wallet in that method anymore. So people were freaking out because all of a sudden your funds were kind of stuck. You couldn't use that wallet to move your funds around. And it scared a lot of people. But the cool thing about Bitcoin is like your Bitcoin isn't that wallet. So the wallet was designed in a way that you could recreate the wallet with another application and all your Bitcoin would still be there. So scary temporarily because people like, we don't know. So the difference between like sort of a cold wallet, well, let's say a good wallet and a bad wallet is a bad wallet or like an exchange. If that exchange goes away and you can't get your money out, there's no recourse. It's on the internet. They control everything. You don't have control over it. The good wallets are, even if they are hot or cold, whatever you want to call it that way, on the internet, they are actual wallets where your Bitcoin, they're just accessing Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain. You still control it at the end of the day. It's still your seed keys, your account. It's just the wallet is being used to access the Bitcoin network. That's kind of what you want to look for, I guess. Is it a real, is your Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network and you have access to it through this application? Or is it someone else holding your Bitcoin that allows you to do stuff with it?
And for those cold wallets or hot wallets, what hardware wallets, what's the price range of those?
Usually a few $100s. So most Trezors and Ledgers are in the $200 to $400 range, I would say. So it's a little bit of an expense, right? So again, if you're buying $20 worth, you buy a $400 wallet to hold your $20. I know people do that with their Louis Vuitton wallets anyways. Buy a $1,000 wallet to hold $50. So it's not like it's an unknown thing.
And lots of credit.
Yeah. And a lot of debt on your credit cards. That's one way to do it. So it's a decision, right? And Trezors and Ledgers, they do go through software updates. You do have to kind of keep up to date what's going on. But in theory, you could put it in one of those and hold it for a long time and recreate it. At the end of the day, they give you they're good wallets. You have the seed keys. You can go recreate your Trezor wallet somewhere else. Doesn't have to be on a Trezor even. So they are legit. They're doing it properly, and so they're well known. They've been around for 7, 8, 10 years now. Probably not going to go anywhere. So this is probably safe to use. If there's some new coin that comes out with a new wallet at some point, and you just download it off the internet, who knows what's going to happen? Those are the ones that could steal all your crypto.
Awesome. Okay, so in a few days from now, I think when this goes out in a few days, we'll be seeing you at that rodeo, at the crypto rodeo. Tell us more about that then. What are you excited for? What are you looking forward to? And who are you looking forward to meet? Like, why are people coming to your booth? Why should they come and say hi? What's all that great stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to meet new people, network. I love these conferences. And, like we don't have to take a flight over anywhere. So it's nice to be here in Calgary and local and just meet some new faces in the Bitcoin space, even in the real estate industry. So I'm looking forward to that. And, Shin and I, we've been in real estate. I've been in real estate for over 25 years, and we started Calgary Property Partners in 2012. So have a lot of real estate investing experience, and we've made tons of mistakes. We've learned a lot. We'd love to mentor other people in how to acquire investment properties, learning different strategies. And now with this new asset class like Bitcoin, it's just even more exciting. It just gives us another option of, you know, accumulating assets, and it goes together. And I'm excited now that we're both licensed real estate agents with Greater Property Group. We can help facilitate that through a brokerage with Bitcoin and real estate. So it's pretty exciting.
Very, very cool. How about you, Shin?
I think it's going to be an interesting event. This is our first one. I've heard about it. I think a lot of people have said many good things. And like Chan said, it's great to meet people in the space and find out different ideas of what people are doing. We went to a different event about a month and a half ago, and we found out there's a plumber, for example, that is accepting Bitcoin in payment. Some of the local credit unions are talking about getting ready for it, because at the same point, they're custodying gold. So you can buy gold, they hold it, you can get a loan against it. You want to do the same thing with Bitcoins. They're kind of like in the process of figuring that out. Obviously, regulation takes time. So the industry is moving forward slowly, and it's cool to see what people are kind of coming up with and ideas and starting businesses around the whole Bitcoin space. And while it's not 100% mainstream yet, you can kind of see us inching towards that. And so it's really good to see and get involved early, because the early movers get the biggest profits in the end. So at least if you just want to come learn, you just want the information, you want to meet some people in the space, it's a good place for that.
Awesome. So for everybody out there, if you're, like we said at the very beginning, if you want to get involved more in crypto, learn more about the environment, the industry, find out how you can convert your Bitcoin into different asset classes like real estate, Shin and Chan's going to be there. Say hi. It's going to be a great time and lots of fun, lots of learning. So make sure you go out to that. What's the best way for people to get in touch with the two of you and also the rodeo?
So we're just launching Chan's new website, so it's sort of a work in progress, but it's going to be livingwithchan.com. And on there, we'll probably have some information how to contact either Chan or I. And then, as we create our marketing material for the Bitcoin Rodeo, it'll be on there too. And that's probably the best way. Phone number, email is all there. So if you're interested, we'd love to meet you.
Cool.
And yeah, best way for me is just on Instagram at living.with.chan. And you can send me a direct message and love to chat with you and connect.
Awesome. Any final things that you guys want to share with regards to the crypto world, real estate world, before we see you for the next episode?
Yeah, I'm hoping next episode Bitcoin has gone up to 80,000 plus, but you never know. So just keep doing the same thing, dollar cost average as needed, and enjoy the process. Because looking back, had this been 2017, it'd be the same thing. Like Bitcoin isn't moving, it's the summer. Why would you ever want to invest in this asset? It's so slow, and then all of a sudden, Bitcoin goes from $500 to $20,000 that year, and then looking back at that, even at $20,000, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have bought a lot more Bitcoin at $20,000. So 5 years from now, when it's a few $100,000, you'd be like, I wish I could have bought it at $64,000.
I have a
Yeah,
feeling
exactly.
when you hear people downplay Bitcoin and crypto, you're laughing because
Yeah.
when people start saying all that stuff, you're expecting it to go up. And
Look at the
Chen?
long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've seen this, in the years when real estate was happening a decade ago. So 2014, we were experiencing the same thing. Like, there was this value of real estate going up, and there was times when it went down, and people, even during the pandemic, it was just a lot of fear in the atmosphere. So it is a mindset shift. And so thinking like, hey, this is an opportunity. This is the best time. And I was just talking to a girlfriend of mine, and she's just like, oh my gosh, like Bitcoin's so much, it's so expensive. And they didn't even know you could just buy fractions of it. Just buy, we get money from the government for our kids, like for the child benefits. Like I literally use that in dollar cost average and just don't think about it. Put it away. Save it for them, for the generations. And just do that. And then when it's down like today, like 64,000 US, like literally it's on sale. So just go buy a little bit. Not financial advice, but that's just my 2 cents.
Awesome. Well, it's always nice to hear the perspective from the two of you because not everybody has that mindset. Not everybody has that thought process of going, hey, it's actually on sale right now, go and buy it. Whereas everybody's, hey, don't buy it, it's going down. So it's nice to have that pro and con and different types of perception. So it's awesome. If there's nothing else, then we'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you in a couple weeks. Thanks,
Awesome. So
Fong.
everybody make sure you
Take
connect with
care.
Shin and drop by at the crypto rodeo and say hi to them as well. And remember, until next time, when you're Bitcoining, you are shaping tomorrow's economy. We'll see you later.
Bye, guys.